Oh, hello. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Did you hear everything I had to say here? Did you hear what I said earlier? Or was it not picking me up? I don't hope. Okay, that's unfortunate. All right, I went over what happened. So earlier, so last session, last time, it wasn't picking up my mic audio issues. That's fine. Last time we went to the police department to check the evidence room and the evidence lockers. We figured out that there might be another person in this case that's tied to this case that might know stuff. We said that we would put in Marshall to start to question him. So Edgeworth was prepping him now, and this is the point afterwards. Another thing is, no, yeah, that's that about the case. And then the other thing was that I want to make sure I either beat this today or next Thursday, because next week I work and I won't be able to stream. So I might even extend Thursday's stream if I need to, but we'll see about that. So yeah, let's hope that we can finish it today, if not Thursday. Yeah, let's get started. You better get to it then. I will. Let me. Got my cables are all a mess right now because this thing got moved. There we go. Okay. That took a little longer to start because I got tied up with something, and yeah, but that's all good now, and we should be ready to start. Egg. All right, February 24th, 11:39 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. Lana! There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. All right, my current running theory was that Marshall was in fact always the killer. In fact, as soon as I saw him, because he has the same hair length as Lana, so you could easily mistake them. Though, I don't think Angel would mistake Jake. Unless it was Angel's, unless it was their plan all along. So that they could, what's it called? They could start investigating what actually happened and end up with Jake Marshall being guilty. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Listen, Phoenix, I don't know about that, but you figured out a bunch of stuff. Okay? Don't sell yourself short. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. No, Gumshoe, come back. Oh. Oh, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? Got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run around all while on duty. And on top of it, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, Detective. You better be, pal. Hey! Hey, 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 hey! Hey! I didn't see you there, Miss Guy. I swear to God, Gumshoe. That's okay. So, have you brought what I asked? Oh, You mean this, right? Gumshoe, I swear to fucking Christ. My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? Malana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to learn to... I can English, I swear. Having a flashlight in your eyes. Here, you might do well to read them. Can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, was a witness in this case. Did they add it to the... No, they didn't. This guy was a witness? Received file of SL9 incident files. Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. But I love serial. Files for the dark killings. Solved 2 years ago. Touch check button to check for details. Incident number SL9. Closed. Criminal. Joe Dark. Crime. Serial murder. Sentence. Death. Victims. Kirby. Edward Jones. Edith Kirby. Jeb Gates. Oh. Jason Knight. Rachel Moss. Neil Marshall. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Oh, trial data. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth. Witnesses Lana Skye, Emma Skye. Investigation Task Force. Executive Investigator Damon Grant, Lana Skye. Wait. Lana Skye was permitted to investigate even though she was a witness? Wouldn't that have bias? Head Investigator Bruce Goodman. Investigators Jake Marshall, Angel Star. All right. Oh, what? Now I've brought you your stuff. You're just gonna ignore me? Emma, but why? Why is your name on? Well, why is your name on here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless, no, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident is that? That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. Is that supposed to be significant? Or is it not significant to me yet? Gonna finally learn about SL9. Yeah, you know, on the last day of the case. Fucking Christ. Oh, did it just get updated? Yeah, oh no, it says Dark Killings. The Joe Dark. No, Lana. That's over with, no! Emma, wait! Oh, god damn it. You know what? I just remembered I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Well, fuck. Jake Marshall, Angel Star, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth, everyone but me. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better get a good look at this file. To be continued. No, don't say. February 24th, 12:14 p.m. District Court, Court number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. So, like, they don't talk about a particular aspect until later games, but... Spoilers? Patrolman with General Affairs, suspected of killing Goodman in the evidence room. Victim and detective, Goodman, detective... A good man, I see. Detective in criminal affairs, handled us in my case. So it's always life or death. That's right! They didn't undo that law until recently. I forgot about that. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. That's why these cases are such a big deal. From Larry Butts to Lana Skye, they're on the chopping block. I can't believe they chopped Von Karma. Chop, motherfucker. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trials of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind call it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? Never heard Edgeworth described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony on the day of the crime. In English. He is speaking English. Well, technically he's speaking Japanese, but, you know. Unless he's not speaking Japanese. My job was to keep a wary eye on the bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day. Well, that ain't my style. Besides, the room protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the try. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean, the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks inside the evidence room? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled dude hickey are those? You're not being very helpful. He's not good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses, now don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Day of the crime. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure none moved. The security camera monitored. The room's so still. Even time ties in there. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. You interred them? Videos of none aren't that useful. The time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase the tape, felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy's a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day. Well, that ain't my style. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? And you heard a word I said, partner? Told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in that cryptid in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? You used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was gold mine of evidence. And yet you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Sorry, partner. I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. Interesting. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel's steak lunches can beat the parlor's vongole sepia pasta. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not at all, desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, do you not want to raise this year? Did you not want to raise this year? Oh yeah. Maybe he isn't getting paid. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or as you call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back to the west, to the sunset.
One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything.
Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it though, I'd better up the ante. Okay, can we prove that he was in the... It wouldn't be here. Okay. I want to use SL9 files to maybe pin him that there is something in... He has an interest in the security room because He was from the SL9 incident. My job was to keep a wary eye. I said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day. Let me make sure I do this first. Keep an eye on the evidence room. Made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. Dies in there. Caretaker entered recordings. Time would come. I'd erase the tape. Tapes are erased every 6 hours unless something unusual is recorded. Each time I'd erase the tape, felt like I was erasing a part of my life. Okay. Not yet. I brought up the rubber glove, so maybe it's something about the rubber glove. SL 911 is written on the tag. It seems this is some more evidence from that incident. Says the room's protected by 2 security room systems anyway. Luminal testing fluid. You were at the street side saloon when it happened. Can I prove that he wasn't? I don't think that'll have any evidence. What was he doing in a place like that? He was eating spaghetti. Better try. Keep an eye on the evidence room. Make sure nothing moved in the security monitor. So still. Make rounds 3 times a day, but he didn't make rounds 3 times a day. I should probably save. Saving is smart. So I need to prove that he's not where he said he was, and that he was in the room. Okay. I'm thinking I might use the I might use the ID card reader. So the reason why I don't think this would actually have evidence against him is because he's the one who gave it to me. Wait! That's gotta be him then. Because if he's not good with technology, that means he's not good at remembering passwords. So someone with a really basic number would be someone like him. Oh, but what should you use it on? Is he smooth brain? So it'd be... So, okay, using that line of thought, right? 7777 would be him because that's the thing that he wants people to know, right? That he's smooth brain. And he does that. And it would clear him of evidence because he's only shown once. But if he was to enter with someone else's ID, then he would be fine. Okay. I'm gonna try and use the ID here. Unfortunate. We do not have that. Okay. Let me look at all my evidence again, just in case. So the ID, that, the day of the murder, trace of that, parking stub, death, 4 p.m. Victim's note, muffler, Edgeworth's car, Angel Star, shoe, okay. Brought back from his office at Gant's request. Half submitted, half written document. Floor plans for the evidence room. Rubber glove. Evidence locker. Each locker is unlocked using a detective's fingerprints. Light indicates boxes. I don't think this has any evidence against him. Okay. My job was to keep an eye on the bone orchard. What does he say when he does this? Keep an eye on the evidence room. Just caretaker did the coronings. Nothing unusual is recorded. What do I think is his ace up his sleeve? It's the fingerprint. This proves that he was in there and that and that his hands were bloody. Because Phoenix says that to not use the ace up my sleeve yet, I need to up the ante first. So I need to find another reason and then use this as the smoking gun. No. There's blood on the jar too. Why is it auto doing that? I don't really have any other evidence though. I have a trump card up my sleeve, so I'd best keep my cool. Before I use it though, I'd better up the ante. Does he have anything else that would incriminate him? I don't think I have anything else that would incriminate him besides this. And they're investigators. Investigation Task Force, trial data and victims. I don't think I have anything else that would, what's it called? That would guarantee that he, was there. I mean, besides this. But that didn't work. So what I'm gonna do... Oh, okay. Is I'm gonna use this here, because I used it in the security system. Okay, it's just auto doing it now. So this has nothing to do with it being ammo. This, I don't know for sure that it's his ID, so I can't say that he's been in there, bro. No, it's not my emulator. It's my controller. It's doing right trigger, like randomly. So it's opening the case stuff. So I have this. The ID card says that he's there. The SL9 incident says that has an interest in it because he was in the case. This is his fingerprints. Then we also have proof that he stole it because Goodman doesn't have his ID, and he wasn't able to remember his ID because he mistakenly wrote it. Okay, So I'm gonna try the ID again. And if that doesn't work, I'll use the fingerprint. Okay, wasn't it? Not my eggs! Oh, God. I reset it. I didn't think it'd send me back to the same one. Oh, but should it be this one or this one? Alright, well. We have none to lose. Okay, that was the right one. Weird, though. Then, okay. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? Then that means Phoenix believes that he has another thing that would be able to incriminate him with the evidence we have. Does he think it's the jar? We do have this. We have the ID card recording. We also have the time of death. Sir, why the shield is broken, I have no idea why. Well, let's see how it plays out. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects. That is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood.
Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the scene of the crime?
The blood was wiped away, however. Luminol tests clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints?
Very well. You may begin your testimony about the fingerprints found at the scene of the crime.
That wasn't blood, that was spaghetti. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in the evidence room. One of them just happened to be the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. Explain your way out of this. Okay, I will. Surprise Pikachu face. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See? I had nothing to do with it.
The witness' explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt.
Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness.
This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Bloodstained fingerprint. Hold it. That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month. Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine.
What? What do you mean?
I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently, his fingerprints data was never changed. He must have been using the fingerprint lock without even knowing it. Wait. Upon a bloody handprint on Marshall's own locker, the print had been wiped. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine. It's no mystery.
Please explain.
My locker is covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened the murderer touched the locker where my fingerprints was by chance. I don't think so, because if you had wiped away the fingerprints as well, you would have wiped away the fingerprints as well as the blood. But since you didn't know that it was fingerprint thingies, it just so happens that, you know, you got caught. Oh. The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. Chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't got no reward for me with the mere fingerprint. You want to know why? Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kind of like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast while the other's a type of murder.
He's right. Although seemingly alike, they're totally different.
I don't see what homonyms have anything to do with this. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up with the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene. Thought to be left by the murderer. There's bloodstain at the scene. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too.
So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place his hand on top of the Officer Marshall's fingerprint.
That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? The seal of blood. Desert, just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trial isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. My trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. Oh, but it is, my good sir. But it is. You've been caught red-handed. Get it? Oh,
Please consider carefully where you are going with this cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall.
Too bad it wasn't me in that video, right, partner? Hey, that video, the one that we just showed you with clear evidence against me, that one right there, the video tape, the one in your evidence, I can't let him squirm out of this one. Gotta find something decisive to tie Marshall to the crime. Like the video, the one that he keeps talking about. What? Do I have to read the... Oh. Fine. The video, right? That video. The video not with me in in it. The video that doesn't have me in it. The video not about me. Bruv. I'm gonna try with this one. No, you know what I think is happening right now? I think I figured it out, but they want me to do a roundabout way so that I get another thing. Egg. Okay, just so that we know I'm not crazy. The reason why I'm doing this in the video is because at the beginning, his locker doesn't have anything, but at the end, his locker has something sticking out of it. So look, his locker's empty right now, but then later on, after the whole fucking shebang, something shows up. Ah, God. Anyway. Can't let him squirm. I can't let him squirm out of this one. Gotta find something. Something decisive to tie Officer Marshall to this crime. Oh, okay. He gave me the hint and I just didn't read it. So I'm guessing we bring up the SL9 incident for when he's doing that, because it would mean that he had something to do with it. Murder, touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. Let's go over everything again. Pay your respects, blah, blah, blah. By handprint. I'm gonna try one more time with the videotape here. And if it doesn't work, you have to retry. Unfortunate. Okay. gonna have to try and figure out what the game wants me to get through. I think it wants me to, what's it called? Tie him that he knew about the SL9 incident, so that's why he was in the locker to begin with. And that's why he has some stake in this. That's what I think it wants me to do. I mean, it clearly shows the videotape. They clearly want me to do something with the videotape. So I used the videotape, but apparently that's not what they want me to do. Egg. I'm surprised they didn't give a judge a new model. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and save again so I don't have to do that again when I eventually do that. Okay, it very clearly wants me to pin the videotape on him. But I don't think it wants me to do it yet, because clearly it doesn't do the thingy. Unless I want to put the tape through every single piece of dialogue, but I don't want to do that. So let's just relearn everything that we already knew. Okay, I think I need to use the SL9 stuff on that dialogue. Or they're unrelated. This one. But I need to make sure I press them on everything. Wait, no, but why would it tie it to the SL9? Oh, it's because he mentions that serial killer. Bunch of time into this crime, isn't that right, partner? So that video is the only direct evidence you have. Did I just not fucking click it and think I did? God fucking damn it. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. Okay, I literally just didn't. God fucking damn it. God fucking damn it. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, he could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright.
Well, Mr. Wright, if you could show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now.
Alright, well. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake.
Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall.
All the way at the end. Right there, officer! Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll not soon forget, Officer Marshall. Days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. See this locker that has this white cloth sticking out? Is the witness's locker. Now then, let us rewind the video a bit.
Oh, the white cloth. It's gone.
What happened? I went to help with groceries. I didn't fucking press examine. Oh, you got some pizza? Yo, that's sick. What kind of pizza? I didn't click to examine his fucking text on the last piece of dialogue. God damn it.
Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall?
When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Just cheese and pep. Good classic. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away.
Order, order. It would seem that's the only...
Hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. Murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker? Now prove it. Fingerprint sensor? Look at him sweat bullets. We talked about this earlier today. The locker can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the lockers aren't that obvious. There's even some of us in the force that don't even know they have fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? No, don't snap it! Oh, thank God. Wait, what the fuck is he chewing on? No! I didn't read the first line of dialogue. Fuck.
Order, order! Witness, explain yourself.
If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. I only have one thing to say, partner. No! Don't. What is he? Oh, Jesus Christ, I think he's gonna rip it. What is he holding on to? I thought it was a scarf, but it's like not tied to his scarf. Oh, it could be jerky. That's some fucking tough jerky.
Ole, please answer the question.
What is he now, a bullfighter? That's all right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure out the rest from here.
We can?
Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall.
That's so then. Where was the witness?
It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion.
Well then, let's hear it.
Wait. Why is there a V? He was Officer Meekins! Arrest him, officer! Wait, why is there a K? Oh, Meekins, but Goodman as a V? Why is there a V? Victim and killer. Oh, okay. I get it. Officer Marshall was standing right here.
There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was.
Correct. Unless that man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman.
Well, wait, but that means...
But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the scene of the crime. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. I don't know why you were confused about the V and the K. I was thinking Meekins for the K, and then I saw V, and I was like, what? It's not like his name is Vincent. Why is it a V? Just like, what the fuck? That makes no sense. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when he confronted. You don't make sense. Look, I understand now that it was explained to me. It makes much more sense that way. That's why I was confused, because I was like, what? How does that make sense? That doesn't make sense. So that must not be the reason why it's V and K. And then I thought victim and killer, but then I was like, wait, but then why is Meekins the killer? He didn't kill Goodman. What? I don't... When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Vikings and car show. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled out a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it?
Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it.
The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you could see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Hey, Baki, how's it going? Not gonna lie, I thought the same thing for half a second. Sub gamers. You see, I'm not crazy. Thank you, Baki.
Oh, I get it.
No sense, crazy people. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized that man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall?
You've got quite an imagination, partner. Got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you've heard of hard evidence proving I dressed up as a victim.
I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition.
I can say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complain.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence? Any evidence beyond the shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim?
Thank you, Gallop Crush, for following. I appreciate it. Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. Or do you? Or do you? Do I have anything that would say that he actually dressed up like him? Well, we know that his ID was stolen. But to show that he was... I could see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take desert heat. Ah! This can't be happening. It's obvious he's the one. What can I do? Oh, Edgeworth. Let me give you a motherfucking updated autopsy report. He wasn't wearing his clothes when he was there. It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. Huh? I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Maya used to tell me. Nick, try thinking outside the box. You know, the box. The box that has the evidence. It shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came out because he was in disguise. You're doing it again? What do you mean you're doing it again? Ah! Did I actually say... Oh my god! I literally said Maya! Whoopsie! I'll never get it right. I have to set that this way. I'll never get it right. I just do it unconsciously. I use a hard I, so it sounds like I'm saying M-A-Y-A, but I'm saying M-A hard I, M hard I-A. It's not Maya, it's Maya. Shingles gently with purpose. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place?
What do you mean?
There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chances that it would be discovered later as it has seen. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker.
According to the defense's argument,
Officer Jake Marshall was dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that. He opened it in order to put a cloth inside.
So just what exactly is this piece of cloth?
It's the outfit! I think. That's why we found the shoe. Right? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's right. But it's probably the disguise. Perhaps. Perhaps the video is the key to all our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so the video is my only shot.
Very well. Let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker.
It was covered in blood! It was covered in blood! Frame by frame, officer. Bada bing, bada boom! For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room. I don't know what to say. I don't know what that reason was. Yet, you don't know how many people hate this mascot. Well, okay, I'll be honest with you. It's actually kind of growing on me. I hate the fucking song. But it's kind of okay. Look at it. It's happy. It's got a little flag. It's a little jester, you know. It's got a little belt. No, little belt. It doesn't look like a badger at all. But, yeah. Yeah. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled out a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. They couldn't say hedgehog for whatever reason. I'm going to guess blue hedgehog has copyright all over it.
A bloody white coat.
You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, huh, partner?
Gun emoji. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth?
Looks like I underestimated you. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. All right. It seems the time has come. Marshall's confession. So anyway, I started blasting. I had to do it that day. Couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole a detective's ID card and dressed like him, planning to take out the evidence. I was expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. Managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't get caught on the cam. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15.
So the supposed victim was really you?
Hold on. There's more to it. He had to have been the one to kill Goodman. Had to have been the one to kill Goodman. But I don't think I have any evidence to support that. Not at the moment. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Large quantities of blood traces were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be?
Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. Looked like too much blood for that.
Okay. So what we have is the shoe. Right? It's got blood at the bottom of it. It's got blood at the bottom of it. How's your water supply? It's good. I refilled before I started stream. Thank you. Okay. We have that. We have the blade. We have him that he had it written 221 SL9. He was stabbed by Edgeworth's knife. That's about it. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? That's on 9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal that day. Not if I had anything to do with it. That incident's not over. What did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When the case is closed, only the detective who was in charge of it can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time, no matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I... Let me read over the SL9 incident again. Criminal Joe Dark, Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Jason Knight, Rachel Moss. Oh, Neil Marshall. That's why. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera.
And the detective's ID card.
I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out the lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight.
What do you mean, partner?
I mean the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Normally, that locker shouldn't have opened. So it opened because a rubber glove was stuck in the door by chance. Then Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. But black, pow! Also, I find it funny that Edgeworth was just go back to basics when prior to you just straight up didn't press the last statement, Lamau. Listen. That's it. That's all I have to say. He pulled the knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time.
Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder, demanding to show his ID.
I'd think a little more about his race this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me, and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. Me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say.
So what happened next? So you did your research beforehand.
Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I don't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened the locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby.
So what you're saying is, on that day,
Interesting that you say there wasn't a murder at 5:15. That means there was a murder at another time. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What, are you blind? The victim shown at the tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from that locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. Dun dun dun.
What? Mr. Edgeworth, where is that evidence?
It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense. Moreover, you're still an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. You can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one's mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with.
The witness has the unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more.
But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it?
That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room.
Joe Dark was convicted for those crimes. One thing I can say for sure, he deserved his sentence.
I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it?
I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. But there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about.
What happened?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. You okay there, Judge? You sound tired.
Oh no, I just haven't taken my food yet. Where is that lunch lady?
Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at these files. Okay, let me just look at the files before I do anything. He said I'll look at the files, I'm gonna look at the files. Joe Dark, serial number death. Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jib Bates, Jason Knights, Rachel Moss, Neil Marshall. Head prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth. Witness, Lana Skye, Emma Skye. Wait. Interesting. Executive investigators, Damon Gant, Lana Skye. Head investigator, Bruce Goodman. Investigators, Jake Marshall, and Angel Star. Oh yeah, I haven't saved. I should probably do that. Good point, good point. I did notice the victim. One of them is called Neil Marshall. It's the one there, bottom right. Okay, well, I guess I'll do that. Oh, God damn it. Before I do anything, let's go over this again. Wait. No. Okay, that is when he talks about that. Sorry. Okay, there we go. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care about this so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been slipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In the list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you heard the name. 2 years ago, you received the same lousy prosecutor award you got.
What? A prosecutor?
You must have been talking about the King of Prosecutors award. Wait. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands.
But what's his relation to you?
He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, chief detective at the time. The group of detectives I was part of sort of worked under him. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Pepe cried.
Joe Dobb. Brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. Incinerated. The case is finally closed, at least according to public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? Your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than that the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me.
Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime.
That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with his resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen in chance never cease to amaze me. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, the fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's got to be more than just that.
So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's parking lot was the real one.
Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me, this boy's got a draw on you, partner. All the mysteries at the police department have been uncovered, no contradictions. Remain. The murder took place at the prosecutor's office, the only suspect, Lana Sky. There was no errors in the testimony of the witness, Angel Star. I don't know about that one, Chief. If you have a response, make it one word or less. Oh! I rest my case. Wait, what is she? Wait. What is Emma doing there? I just noticed that.
It seems the trial has reached its conclusion. There's no more room for doubt.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's a murder that took place there. There's no doubt that what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana's guilty.
Now then, the time for this verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant...
Oh, hi, Emma. Your Honor, wait! Emma! The defense has an objection, a scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right?
Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian?
Your Honor, in a sense... Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. How nice of him. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out that SL9 incident was referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, named both Sky and sisters were in that file. Well, that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprints had nothing to do with the crime.
What the fuck?
That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker?
But no fingerprints are found on it, right? No, but I figured I'd examine it scientifically. I'd sure to find a clue. So I ran over and looked at it again.
So did you find something?
No.
Huh?
Sorry. I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all.
Is that all?
Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student.
And I'm just an attorney.
But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you.
Me? Oh boy.
Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright, with regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain?
It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark.
Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered. Oh my god. The blood print was there. It was just covered up by the dummy. And there's blood on the dummy itself. Is there a problem with this?
Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be more of use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be...
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day.
Yes, Your Honor. If I've ever needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is you're grasping, Mr. Wright.
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them?
Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at the floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark.
Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time.
Wow, you calling me out? I need to check something. Okay.
Very well, Mr. Wright.
With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use.
The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans?
What the Where'd Emma go? What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the scene of the crime. The Blue Badger is not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well?
Well, what?
That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it will be impossible to place a handprint on this spot of the locker.
What? So that means... Just exactly what does it mean?
It means it can't be done.
What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found in that locker.
Don't look at me. I didn't put it there.
Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically.
Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would have been impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in.
Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash into my courtroom.
It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's my favorite Pokemon. But it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice.
But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered.
That's ridiculous. I refute you.
The murderer portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand to show you evidence that proves it occurred. When did the first incident occur?
To summarize the defense's claim that, prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was disguised as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room.
The blood mark was on the locker to prove this.
Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? Proof must be presented.
Proof that's shown when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. This is where I get him with the smoking gun.
Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows the first crime took place?
Right here, officer. If the crime took place in the evidence room, then the perpetrator would had to have entered the room in order to do so. An ID card is required.
An ID card? Oh! The ID card record!
Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m.
Huh! Oh! Oh, mamma mia! Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done?
I never figured you'd have the nerve, boy. Put off that act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't get it.
I'm afraid I don't understand either.
It's clear from the luminol test the blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim and carry his body away. And clean up the blood. Fortunately, that's physically impossible.
That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room.
Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card remaining. 777777. Talk about a lucky number. Ain't that the truth, brother?
But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Officer Goodman have entered the evidence room?
Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went with 77777.
Master Edgeworth, please take a look at this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777777.
That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least, at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 777777 belongs to someone with a high rank of captain or higher. Oh. It wasn't Marshall? Someone who is so-called executive officer. Oh, son of a bitch. God damn it. That's the only reason a prosecutor would be put there. Wouldn't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority.
If an official charge is filed against an executive is accepted.
An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries.
That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Yes? No, not you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Lana. Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 777777. 7. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I wanted to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident.
The SL9 incident?
Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for the trial. At that time, we, occasionally, felt the powerlessness of the law. At least I did. Lana, I became prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant, just what are you saying?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me in an investigator in that crime in the eye and say that you did?
Chief Prosecutor, you didn't.
I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why don't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence. They're sitting in the same place. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No!
Order, 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 order!
Lana remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day.
Oh, brother. Oh, brother.
I thought 777 was Marshall because he'd be the only one dumb enough and able to remember that number. I guess it's Damon Gant. February 24th, 3:12 p.m. Wright and Co. Law Offices.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Wright. I'm sorry for what my sister said. Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to. We became the warrior of darkness in order for him to get the verdict he deserved.
It's a decent line of reasoning.
I didn't know. I never knew the SL9 incident was another name for the Joe Dark killings.
Sounds like everyone's heard about these killings but me. One brings darkness, one brings the light.
I don't want a Dark convicted so badly. That's why she used me. That's why she used what happened to me.
What do you mean what happened to you?
It's all there in the file.
I've read the file. There's literally nothing in there.
Joe Dark's ex-victim was prosecutor Neil Marshall.
Emma?
When he murdered Officer Marshall's brother, he left behind an incriminating piece of evidence.
What did you have anything to do with those killings, Emma?
On the night of Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered, Joe Dark tried to kill me.
What? He tried to kill you?
Officer Marshall's brother, Neil, was only trying to save me.
So that means you...
Yes.
I was a witness in the Joe Dark trial. Well, I surmised this much. But according to what you said, you have a key piece of evidence. I didn't see that one coming. Let's see how the plant's doing. Mia's plant, Charlie. I've been taking care of him since Maya's absence. Huh? He looks a little yellow today. Well, I watered him just now. I mixed in a lot too. Huh? Mixed in what? Why, my very own scientific additive. Well, Charlie, you like it? I told you, he's turning yellow. I can't believe Charlie's gonna die because of Emma. It seems everything is somehow related to this incident. What was it labeled again? SL9 incident? Yeah. The name of everyone connected to this trial is listed here. All that's left is to figure out just what role everyone has to play in this case. If we search hard enough, I think we'll find our answers. What I did or didn't want to do. I'm not sure what I want to know. I want to know everything. It happened 2 years ago. It was right about this time of year too. Oh my god, stop burping. It was around this time of year too. There was a terrible thunderstorm that day. Unusual for that season. I was alone in my sister's office. We were planning to eat dinner together once she finished her break. It was a boyga. Then suddenly, the terrifying man came bursting into the office. Joe Dark. It seemed like he was running from someone. He pulled out a knife and screamed at me. Swallowing a lot of air, it seems. It's all the hot air being blown in my face. I didn't know what was going on. Just then, Prosecutor Marshall showed up. Jake Marshall's brother. Joe Dark tried to take me hostage, but before he could, Mr. Marshall tackled him. Then, what happened? I'll never forget it. Lightning struck and the lights went out. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed outside the window, lighting up the office for an instant. What I saw then burned a permanent picture in my mind. I can still see it now. A permanent picture? I don't remember the moment when Dark stabbed Mr. Marshall. So you weren't able to testify about that? No, I was only asked about when I was attacked. That must be why why she made up the crime. Made it up? Made it up? You mean provided bogus evidence? The prosecutor's office wanted the guilty verdict so badly. While not forging the evidence, Mr. Edgeworth used it. Edgeworth? Yes, but I'm sure he didn't know anything about it. He couldn't have known he was being given false evidence. Even so, that's why it all started. The rumors about Mr. Edgeworth, it's all my fault. If I could have just testified properly, none of this would have happened. So it's true, even though he may not have known it. Edgeworth really was involved in falsifying evidence. After that case ended, Anna was never the same. She became cold, like she is today. She must not have been able to face up to what she did. Especially to Emma. Permanent picture. What did you see in the instant the crime occurred? Dark knocked down Mr. Marshall and raised his knife. Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of the... Neil Marshall was stabbed right in front of this poor girl? I don't remember what happened after that. Apparently I passed out. When I came, Lana was cradling me in her arms. Poor Emma. You've been through so much. Look at that guy with his onion-shaped hair. I couldn't bring myself to testify about that incident. I tried, but the words just wouldn't come out. I drew a picture, but it wasn't any good. 2 years ago. You must have been 14. That's understandable. Once it was all over, I made up my mind. I decided that when I grew up, I'd be a scientific investigator. want to be able to fight crime with my testimonies. Find the evidence to make airtight case. That way Lana would never have to forge any. I see. I'm finally starting to understand what makes Emma tick. But not what she talks. Maybe if I go to her TikTok. But there's still something that bothers me about that crime. Something that's puzzling me, Emma. What is it? You said you were in Lana's office at the time, right? That's right. Why then would a serial killer come running in there? Not only that, but he was being chased by the prosecutor. Well, there's no mystery there. Joe Dark had been taken in for questioning that day. Taken in for questioning? You mean by the police? Of course, this happened at the police department. He tried to run away halfway through the interview and fled into my sister's office. Why did he run all the way over to your sister's office? Because the detective's office and the questioning room are right across from the elevator. Across from the elevator? Lana was the chief prosecutor, wasn't she? No, silly. Didn't I tell you? 2 years ago, Lana was a detective. Oh, well that explains that. She was one of the best in the entire force. What? That's news to me. No, it isn't. You read, unless you didn't read the SL9 stuff. Come on, you said you read the fucking papers. Be consistent, Phoenix, come on. After the Joe Dark case, she transferred to the prosecutor's office and made chief prosecutor. Lana used to be a detective? I'd better have another talk with her. Right? February 24th, Detention Center, Visitors Room. Lalana! Mr. Wright, it seems I keep causing you trouble. Falsifying evidence. That's a big oof. I didn't think you were the type. Criminals don't mind playing foul. Why should we? But Lana, if you're wrong, an innocent person might be found guilty. Believe me, I understand the risks. Lana? Emma told me about you. Oh? About how you were a detective 2 years ago. And how the SL9 incident was the reason for your transfer to the prosecutor's office. That's right. Could you fill me in on those details? Especially that about the change of jobs. I suppose you have a right to know, Mr. Wright. You could say it's your right. Attorneys and prosecutors have no business showing evidence outside of court. It's taboo, especially when the interests of both parties are involved. She really means it. Lana. Boo! A lot of revelations were uncovered at the trial today, not the least of which was the fact that this case is largely connected to another one 2 years ago. Evidence from that case was stolen. I expected as much. I know how obsessive Officer Marshall can be. That trial, it really wasn't fair, was it? I believed in you, Lana. I believed that no matter what happened, you'd always stick to the truth. I couldn't be helped, Emma. At that trial 2 years ago, I sold my soul. And now I'm a demon prosecutor from another world. This is now an isekai. Well, all the drama aside, the fact of the matter is, at 5:15, there were no murder at the police department. Tell me it's not true, Lana. What the witness, Miss Starr, said. Are you stabbing Mr. Goodman with a knife? Lana, I don't understand. Why won't you tell us? Emma? This doesn't involve just me. I don't think I've ever seen Lana look so fazed before. It's true. I was a member of the police force 2 years ago. She was amazing. They still talk about all the cases she and Chief Gant cracked together. Chief Gant? Then when he was the vice head of the criminal affairs, but he still worked at the crime scenes. Damon Gant. He was everything I aspired to be. They were the best team ever. They solved crimes before the reports could even be filed. Emma really idolizes her big sister. But now that you're the chief prosecutor, what happened? I always planned on becoming a prosecutor. The reason I became a detective was to gain experience investigating crime scenes so you could later use that evidence in court. Getting help in the SL9 case was critical in that resolution. After that, he became chief of the police and arranged my transfer to the prosecutor's office. Maybe I should ask more about this investigation of theirs 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was second in command of the detectives investigating Dark. Second in command? That means chief detective was, no doubt, Damon Gant. Yes, Damon Gant and I shared the same office and the same investigations. Well, there you go. Damon Gant. That's who he was after. They even had the same office. We had a team at the best detectives on the force. Detective Goodman, whose case it was Jake Marshall and Angel Star. It was the first time Marshall worked with his brother. He was quite gung-ho. Without a doubt, Joe Dark was the serial killer. We asked him to come in for questioning. We were desperate for evidence. That's when the last murder took place. When he tried to murder Emma. Prosecutor Marshall was trying to save me from Dark. You see, the first person who happened upon the crime scene was me. Now you tell us? Egg. Detective Gant and the prosecutor Marshall were the ones questioning Dark that day. The investigation went its final stages when Dark must have panicked. He waited until Gant and Marshall let their guards down, then fled the room. From there, he ran straight to the office shared by Damon Gant and myself. You know, the one that we both shared, and that we both could have possibly been in, and that he could have possibly gone in for both of us instead of one of us. That's where she found me. So you were the first person to run to the scene, Lana? It appears so. I was filling some papers while Gant and Marshall were questioning Dark. When I returned to the office, I saw 3 bodies on the floor and smelled blood. Huh. 3 bodies? Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, Emma, who had passed out. Oh, God. Prosecutor Marshall, the victim, and Emma, who had passed out. This is very incriminating because it shows that Damon Gant stabbed Marshall. And the suspect, Joe Dark. During the struggle, it seems Mr. Marshall struck a final blow before he died. Joe Dark had incurred a minor concussion and lay unconscious. What did you do? To be honest, I panicked. I picked up Emma, carried her out of the room, and just held her. Can't blame her after all. Her sister must have gone through. After that, I placed Dark under immediate arrest. Let me get this straight. You were all involved in the SL9 incident? That's right. Quite a coincidence. I don't buy it. What are you saying? There's no way everyone involved in this trial was involved in that incident. Just by chance. But that case was solved 2 years ago. At least one person went to the extreme because they didn't believe it was truly solved. Officer Marshall. His actions came as a surprise to me as well. Ever since his brother died, he's changed completely. I guess he wasn't convinced with the ruling against Joe Dark. Life doesn't end with the closing of the case. Everyone has to live the rest of their lives with their memories. That case just might not be over yet. Emma was assaulted by Dark at the police department, right? Yes, in the office that Damon Gant and I shared. You know, the one that Dark could have run into for either of us. The one that we both shared because we both could have been in there. Therefore, he could have gone for either of us. The office that Mr. Kent now occupies by himself. The chief office. The one that we used to share. The one that Dark went in. That he could have gone in for both of us. Or one of us. Could have been both. Maybe we should have a look at the chief's office. The site of the final SL9 murder. February 24th, prosecutor's office, underground parking lot. No one's here today, not even Miss Starr. Everyone's probably busy looking into what exactly went down in the evidence room. That must be where the detectives are. But we proved in court today that there was no murder at the evidence room at 5:15, on the day of the crime. Yeah, I thought we were finally making some headway in that case. But instead it looks like we just ended up making Lana look even more guilty. Hang in there, Lana. Hang in there, Lana. I've got to find all the answers by tomorrow. Hey, let's check if we could talk to Edgeworth. February 24th, prosecutor's office. Room 1202. Mr. Edgeworth isn't here. Maybe he's been questioned by an inquiry committee? He took a real beating in court today. Yeah, with Lana admitting to falsifying evidence 2 years ago. I guess we'll just have to come back faster. February 24th, Police Department entrance. Howdy, Bambino. Oh, Mr. Marshall. I never thought things turned up by this way, but this way when I woke up this morning, que sera, sera, que sera, sera. You never know what life will lead you, eh, Bambino? I should have known my luck had run out, but big old Billy dried up this morning. Billy? Must be his pet cactus. Say, where are you headed? Just over to the prosecutor's office for a little interrogation. It's a voluntary appearance, but we all know it won't be coming back. Sorry, can't go in the evidence room today, partner. Mr. Marshall, why did you do it? Why do prosecutors head west? Ever there was a case needed to know the truth about it, it was that one. Before you turn yourself in, Mr. Marshall, would you mind telling us exactly what happened? Looks like I won't be getting a steak lunch today. Actually, him trying to talk while drinking. Something was fishy about that trial from the beginning. It wasn't just me either. All the detectives thought so. What do you mean by fishy? Some of the facts reported were inconsistent with the evidence found. For example, the murder weapon. The murder weapon? You mean the switchblade knife with the broken tip? That's Joe Dark's alright. But in the initial autopsy report, a question was raised. A question? The blade of the knife was not a perfect match with the wound the victim sustained. What does that mean? It means there's a good chance the knife was not the murder weapon. However, the report that was finally submitted at the possibility had been erased. Could the facts have been concealed with forged evidence? The case left behind scars on all of us. The scars that the SL9 incident left behind. I got the looks, but he got the brains. He was one of the best prosecutors around. I just hadn't made detective when it went down. It's our first case together, and our last. How old was he? Your brother? He was 27 at the time. He was awarded the highest honor that very day. The highest honor? You don't mean King of Prosecutors. Not that again. What are you looking at me like that for? That's an honor for a prosecutor. Mr. Marshall must have really been close with his brother. The day the SL9 incident took place wasn't the same day as...
That's right. It was the day of the evidence transferal.
Interesting.
It was drizzling that morning. By nightfall, there was thunder. Can't believe 2 years had gone by already. What? Did you put away his hat? I tried to steal the evidence so that the case wouldn't die. Apparently, someone tried to stop you. Detective Goodman was murdered, and the evidence locker was empty. There was something going on behind the scenes in that scene, in that case. We all knew it. We all knew that later. Every detective involved in investigating that save one was taken care of. When the star was fired, I was demoted and boxed away in a tiny room. What about Detective Goodman? If they did something to him too, the commission would have get suspicious. No, they were careful enough not to get too obvious.
They? What are you talking about?
Don't get upset, Bambino. I mean Damon Gant and Lana Sky. Chief Prosecutor Damon Gant and his second command, Lana Sky. There wasn't a person on that force who hadn't heard that duo. The case was the biggest step in both of their careers. After the case ended, Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office, right? Yeah, Damon Gant, the new chief of police, arranged for that to happen. She's never been the same since she left. Everyone who knew her said so. Chief Prosecutor Sky was totally different when she was a detective. Now that he mentions it, Emma said something like that too.
Tell me, what happened to my sister?
Sorry, Bambino. Her secret is too well guarded. I never find out.
On a secret that started 2 years ago.
So there you have it. That's my story. Did you enjoy it, partner? It was certainly enlightening. One thing for sure I found out in court today. That boy Edward isn't my enemy. He was the one who used falsified evidence to get my guilty verdict. But someone else was the one who gave him that evidence and planned everything. That someone is Damon Gant. Don't believe me? Well, I don't blame you. I want to be a patrolman after today. Too bad I won't be around to work with you when you become a real scientific investigator. Adios, Bambino.
Bruv. Why you do this?
February 24th, Police Department, Criminal Affairs. The place is always pretty empty, but today it's deserted.
That must mean everyone's busy solving crimes.
Oh, if you're looking for the others, they're all in the conference room. Thanks. Oh, he actually talked to us. With the chief prosecutor saying that she did and the decision about what to do. About Mr. Edgeworth, not to mention our statement to the media at tomorrow's trial. There's more chaos going on than Thanksgiving and Christmas put together. I think festive is the word he's usually used for those.
Sir? We'd like to look around at Chief Gant's office.
Jet across the hall on the other building. Take the elevator to the top floor.
Really? You mean it's okay for us to go in there? I mean, we aren't police officers or anything.
Hey, you're right. You can't go in there. It's off limits. Now I see where Detective Gumshoe gets his unique charm.
What are you waiting for? Let's head to the chief's office. Why is there a fucking church organ in his office? February 24th, Police Department Chief's Office. Whoa, where am I? Chief's office, silly. At least that's what it said in the door. Check out the pipe organ. That's real, isn't it? So you could play his theme, obviously. Hey, I used to take organ lessons in kindergarten. They used to call me Little Miss Buck. I thought it was a genius until they tried teaching me notes. I thought it was a genius until they tried teaching me notes. I never could remember where C was. Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. Put that paper he was reading in his desk. So, Mr. Wright, have you been swimming lately? No, I haven't. I've been kind of busy lately. I can appreciate that. I've had my hands full too, with Mr. Marshall's misconduct. And Lana's provocative statement. Provocative statement? Oh, you mean the one about forged evidence. The one that's like the big thing and like everyone's going crazy over it? Yeah. 2 years have passed since that incident. My, how time flies. See that picture on the wall over there? That's the picture of Lana and Neil and me. Okay. So this is Mr. Marshall's brother, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. We took it to commemorate our work together. Something not right with this picture. There's 3 things that are standing out to me. 1, that shield has a sword. 2, the pot's there. 3, there's a knight in shining armor with a spear. I can't quite seem to put my finger on it though. Gant team picture added to the core record. Anyway, I'd like to reminisce all day, but there's matters that I need to attend to. Photo at the award ceremony of Gant, Lana, and Nail. Touch to check the buttons for details. I'm going to lock up here, so let's get out together. Oh, but this office, it was a crime scene 2 years ago, wasn't it? That case has long been over. There's no need to investigate it anymore. All the same, we'd still like to have a look around. Perhaps you didn't hear me. I said there's no need to investigate it anymore. Now hurry up and get out. I have a meeting to attend to. Looks like we aren't welcome. It seems that case isn't over with yet, after all. What do you mean? Chief Gant denied our request to search the crime scene. That means there must be a reason he doesn't want us looking around in there. You mean like a clue? There's gotta be a way to get inside with Chief's office. February 24th, Police Department. Criminal Affairs. Hey, pal! Detective Gumshoe, were you in the meeting? I was, just taking a breather. My feet hurt. From sitting so long in the meeting? Actually, I had to serve everyone coffee. Aww. Sounds like a Detective Gumshoe still out of the loop. Say, have either of you seen Edgeworth? Edgeworth? No, why do you ask? He's on the fire from the police department and the prosecutor's office. It's almost like the battles between you two in court. That sounds serious. Is it because of what my sister said? That's basically what it all boils down to. That falsified evidence 2 years ago. Now Mr. Edgeworth has a whole world after his blood. Yikes.
Baby boo boo.
Why would Edgeworth be blamed? It's not like he knew the evidence was forged. Honest guy is the guilty party here, isn't he? Regardless, the prosecution is responsible for the evidence he presents in court. Not only that, but as you know, there've been a lot of rumors going around about Mr. Edgeworth. Those who don't like him haven't been able to do anything because of this. Amazing talent as a prosecutor, but now with this. Are there really so many people that hate him? In our world, only those with talent rise to the top. And so Edgeworth not only did that, but he's young. There's no better recipe I know for making enemies. Hey, Dick! Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
Oh! Is Dick his actual name or is that his nickname? No, it's his actual name. It's Dick Gumshoe. Now I remember. Okay. Let's go out for lunch again sometime. My treat. It's his actual name, yeah.
Yes, sir.
You gotta take me back to that joint sometime, okay, Dick?
Yes, sir.
Seems you don't have any problem with enemies. Yeah, well, I'm careful not to stick out. Anyway, I'm a bit worried about him. Under all this pressure, I'm afraid Mr. Edgeworth just might crack. Actually, I took a look at the file earlier while coffee was brewed. He seemed genuinely concerned for Edgeworth. Well, did you find out anything? The only evidence Stark left behind was during his final attack. His final attack? You mean when he killed Prosecutor Marshall, who was trying to protect some girl? Me. Seems Detective Gumshoe never realized Emma was the girl. That's when he left the most incriminating evidence of all. Well, what was it? Oh, let's see. It had something to do with the murder weapon? Oh, I forget. But it's all written somewhere in there, okay? His powers of recollection never failed to impress. I don't see any evidence that would say... Maybe we should show him the murder weapon. That might jog his memory. About this. Hey, don't tell me that's... It has a tag attached to it. The label is also a mine incident on it. Oh, Gumshoe, he wants Nick to support him. Nick and Gumshoe, best couple. Fight me. I believe this would be the broken murder weapon you were speaking of? What are you doing with that? Ever since that case was closed, and it's been locked away in a locker. On the day Detective Goodman was murdered, this suddenly disappeared from the locker. It was found in Mr. Edgeworth's car muffler. That's it. Now I remember what was the incriminating piece of evidence was. He showed me that knife, it all came back to me. Well, what was it, Detective? Quick, before you forget again. Joe Dark was 42 at the time of the crime. It was just a run-of-the-mill businessman. A businessman? We didn't even take for serial killings. One day on his way home from work, he hit someone with his car. With his car? So it was an accident? An accident, yes, but it transformed him into an animal. An animal? Killed the man that witnessed the incident, then he killed the lady who saw the second crime. A kid walked by just then. A jogger upon the scene was killed as well. Finally, he turned himself in. Seems he was a pretty careless animal. Of course, this is all conjecture. There wasn't a single shred of evidence. So he turned himself in.
Yes, but in the middle of his questioning, he fled and murdered his final victim, Prosecutor Marshall. The crime was witnessed by someone too, but unfortunately, he was arrested on the spot. It's a good thing the last witness wasn't killed.
The last witness? He must mean Emma. So this knife, it was Joe Dark's, wasn't it?
That's right. We traced it back to the store he bought it at, and it had fingerprints on it too.
But no one actually witnessed him using it to murder anyone, right?
That's where his luck ran out. When you take a good look at it, the knife, you'll see it's broken.
You have to take a good look to notice that.
Yeah, well, anyway, take a guess where the broken tip was. Broken off tip of the knife was found. That's what did him in.
Where was it?
The victim, Neil Marshall, was carrying it inside his own body. It was found deep inside the stab wound.
Did it match Dark's knife?
You bet, down to the last fiber.
That's pretty conclusive.
Neil's autopsy report added to the court record.
Switchblade knife added to the court record.
Well, there you have it in a nutshell.
Stabbed in the back, died from puncture heart and lung. Knife tip was in the wound. Died from burn loss in under 10 minutes. Weapon found in the wound was a missing tip. The broken tip was found in the victim's body, belongs to murderer Joe Dark. Okay.
That's all I know.
Can I ask you one more thing?
What is it? If it's money you need, you should ask Chief Gant.
It's not money, but it does concern the chief. His office is a crime scene, right? It's where Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. The chief's out now, and his office is locked. But we'd like to have a look around, if that's okay.
Well, any detective's ID card can unlock that door.
What, really?
But if I let a civilian in there, I'd be charged with breach of trust.
Breach of trust?
Simply put, I'd be canned.
Oh, sorry, pal. I don't plan on getting fired because of you. How about this ID card? It was Detective Goodman's.
That won't work either. It was deleted the day he died.
Oh.
So in other words, Gumshoe's our only chance of getting into that office.
I'm wondering if there's something we can show him that would change his mind.
Hey, that's it! That's the King of Prosecutors Award that Mr. Edgeworth got the other day.
Oh. Congratulations. I was wondering, why is the award a shield? And why is it broken?
Oh, there's a reason. I'll tell you what it is later.
Apparently he's forgotten.
I've been studying up on those files. Nothing wrong with Mr. Edgeworth. Presentation to think that people are accusing him of injustice. I, for one, ain't buying it, pal.
You're looking into the case of Mr. Edgeworth?
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal while it was going on, you know. After all, a serial killer was on the loose. Lana was pretty clear in her confession. She forged evidence in order to prove Joe Dark's guilty. Find something that'll change his mind. About that jar. I think I've seen it before somewhere. Somewhere? Or maybe it's one of those memories people have from previous lives. It must be the most uninformative detective I've ever met. Something about it makes me feel uneasy. It's like I'm in the chief's office and he's yelling at me. Chief Gann? How could I have seen that before? One by one, see which one's the one. Can't believe Officer Marshall would do something like that. You know Officer Marshall? Of course I do. He's like a mentor to me. When I first started out, he even gave me a small cactus. Really? He said, Dick, she'll listen to all your troubles. Not the self. Detective Gumshoe talks to a cactus. Hard to believe he's just a patrolman now. Someone ought to trade places with him. Uh-oh. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Ah, lost item report, huh? Very impressive, Detective. You knew it was right off the bat. Because he always loses his IDs. Well, I'm the master of misplacement, you know. Master? That has such a cool ring to it. The way I see it, if things are meant to be lost, then they're meant to be lost. There's higher power at work here. Wow, a higher power. Maybe I shouldn't let Emma hold any evidence. No locker can be opened without a fingerprint match. Besides, no reason for the murderer to touch his own locker. Hey, wasn't your locker the one with the blood on it, Detective? The handprint of the real murderer's gloved hand. Not any fingerprints. Shh! They come to arrest me, you'll defend me, won't you? If that happens, I think you'll do better pleading with Edgeworth. Yeah, it's powder used for detecting fingerprints. Detecting fingerprints. Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth gave it to us. He did what? All I have is some flour. Are you okay, Detective? Quick, run! Ah, shoot! If it's any help, one time I took a nap on a bench with wet paint. Why am I not comforted? Gumshoe, what the fuck? That's your decar record, isn't it? Yes, there's only one number left to investigate. At 420. The victim, Detective Goodman, must have entered the evidence room along with someone else. Someone with an executive officer number. 77777777777. That's 17 too many, Detective. An executive officer. I just might have a hunch. Yeah, I just bought some of that stuff. Now I go around detecting blood traces too. Wow, is that a new type? I've never seen that bottle before. Add 3 inches to your base height? Base height? Hey, let me see that. Blooming tall? New and improved growth formula. You can't detect blood traces with this. Well, it's not quite the same
as luminol. So that's why the lady at the counter had that smirk on her face. Oh, gumshoe. Let me share a little evidence with you. Oh, that's the... That's the photo that Miss Star took. Anything you can tell us about it? Miss Star is quite the lady. I remember it was winter. I was 16. She was the only one who ever got to talk to me about what happened. 16? That's how old I am now. I wonder what happened. I wonder if Detective Gumshoe wore a trench coat in high school, too. Found in Mr. Edgeworth's car. Stabbed in Mr. Edgeworth's knife, huh? What drive prosecutor Sky to do such a thing? This guy almost made us lose the case today. What are you talking about? He was just guarding the bloodstain on the evidence locker with his life. That's more that you can say about most officers nowadays. Would have saved us a lot of trouble if he hadn't guarded it so well. I have to admit, he's right though. Thanks to the Blue Badger, we were able to prove another possibility today. Smiley face. Possibility that another murder took place prior to 5:15. This idea belongs to the victim, Detective Bruce Goodman. You can do just about anything these days with the card and a secret number. Scary. It's only scary because you keep dropping your card, Detective Gumshoe. I only forget my number a lot too. I'm scared of it myself. But I'm me after all. What could go wrong with that? I think I'll stay out of that conversation. Here, see this? Oh, that's them. Wonder if Edgeworth is back yet. There he is! Looks like he's writing something. Huh? What are you doing here? You sure was quick to throw the paper on the floor. Tough day in court, huh? Huh. That's the past 2 years of the rumors flying around. What's another allegation to me? Cheer up, Mr. Edgeworth. I'm rooting for you. That's Edgeworth for you. Always trying to hide his real feelings. So what did you want? Like some people, I don't have all day. There's no excuse for what I've done. 2 years ago, I used false evidence to obtain a guilty verdict. That's what it all breaks down to, and nothing I can erase that fact. Like his real feelings for Nick? I see. But you didn't know, did you? I mean, the evidence was falsified. The police department and the prosecutor's office share a bond of trust. The bond is broken. We stand to lose everything. The police department's error is my error. My responsibility as the prosecutor in charge. The fact remains the same no matter what excuses I might have. Mr. Edgeworth. I take pride in my work. So tell me why. Why has it all come to this? Then Edgeworth can't keep this kind of emotion bottled up. Are you up for the trial tomorrow? First last year's trial, and now this one. Seems all you do is worry about me. To be honest, you're getting on my nerves. Mr. Edgeworth, you can't just walk out of the trial. Tomorrow's the last day. It's too late to change prosecutors. I bet that's why my superiors are banking on. Never thought that the case would come back to haunt me like this. What do you mean? The list of evidence. It seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. It's only half as long as most lists? That is odd. After Neil Marshall was murdered, I became prosecutor for that case. I may not have been part of the investigation, but at the time there was only one thing on my mind. I used the evidence I was given to prove the suspect was guilty. Say, we just saw a picture taken around that time. That picture. Something seems strange about it. Can you tell us again about what happened that day? The day Detective Goodman was murdered? You were participating in a ceremony over at the station, right? I've never cared for ceremonies, but I had to attend that one. Because you were awarded this. Those receiving awards can't exactly skip out on the ceremony. I finished up at the office in the morning, then drove over at the police department. You finished up at the office? Yes. Just odds and ends. Clerical stuff. I didn't plan on returning to the office that day. That is, until I was asked to take something back. Take something back? This. Oh yeah! Chief Can't asked you to hold on to that, didn't he? Yes. There's a piece of evidence in the case that closed half a year ago. He asked me to bring it back to the prosecutor's office. That's the story we heard yesterday. So you came back here to the prosecutor's office because the chief asked you to? That's right. This picture was hanging on the wall of Chief Gant's office. Prosecutor Neil Marshall had just started making a name for himself. This was taken when he received the King of Prosecutors trophy. Speaking of that, there's something that bothers me. Yes? The trophy that Mr. Marshall is holding is a little different than yours. Yes, you're right. I remember now. Remember what? That was the official prosecutor's trophy, used until that time. There's a story behind it. A story? Sounds interesting. Would you mind telling it to us? It's simple, really. A contradiction. That's what the award's based on. This award originates from an ancient Chinese tale. In Chinese, the word contradiction is written with two characters. The first means halberd, the second means shield. Have you heard the story? Me? Oh, sure. Everyone knows that. Why don't you tell them to me, though? For Emma's sake. Very well. Long ago, in the kingdom of Chu, there was an arms merchant. One day he presented the king with two items. The first was a halberd he claimed could slice through any shield or armor. The second was a shield he claimed could withstand any weapon. Wait a minute. Those claims contradict each other. Phoenix. Very perceptive. Then again, you've heard this story before, right? Anyway, As you mentioned, the very descriptions of these items discredit them both. When the king pointed this out, the merchant was left speechless, and thus a Chinese word for contradiction was born. Oh, I see. So the chipped shield and the broken knife symbolize... Precisely so. They symbolize the merchant's items. The ancient tale ends with the merchant at a loss for words, but it's in our nature to pursue matters to their conclusion, even if the result's something as ugly as this. Wow, thanks, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, there's something new today. That's funny. If that's so, why are they only giving a shield? You have to ask Chief Gant. 2 years ago, he had the halberd part of the award abolished. Chief Gant. Two years ago, the halberd was removed by Gant's behest, given the current form. Oh, by the way, that story is legit. That's news to me. Okay, I guess I'm done here. The chief is a confident man, but sometimes he makes things that doesn't make any sense. At least it's better than being incompetent doing things that don't make sense. A certain detective comes to mind. Right. February 24th, prosecutor's office. Underground parking lot. Excuse me? Would either of you care for a quarter pound of roast beef? Miss Starr! She's out of lunches. You certainly are a curious sort, aren't you? Kind of like the first person who sucked a cow's nipple to discover milk. Still, I never thought you'd go digging up that case from 2 years ago. Everyone in this trial was involved in the SL9 incident. Not only that, but the murder occurred on the very day of the evidence. The case was due to transferal. This can't be all attributed to mere coincidence. Aren't you forgetting something? You know that little scene that happened to witness? The incident allowed us to have Detective Goodman with a knife? No matter how much of the past you dig up, it won't change what I saw. Roast beef is meant to be savored when eaten. Miss Starr's hatred towards Lana. It all dates back to 2 years ago. Joe Dark, that's his name. I will not soon forget. We trailed him for half a year. Oh, the pressure. So I don't think I was even more alive than I was then. Those days were steamier than a bowl of hot gravy. Poor old Jake Marshall, though. Must have been going through hell. You mean because of his brother's death? They were close, those two. After Neil died, something took over Jake. He became obsessed. Seeing Jake like that made her all the more desperate. Her? Lana Sky. My sister? The best of the best were put on the SL9 case. Of course, they were led by the legendary duo. Lana and Chief Gant. The legendary pair was the reason we were able to keep up our investigation. That's why we were shocked for how it turned out.
You mean with the forging of evidence?
Don't get me wrong, Joe Dark got what he deserved. Still, it was obvious the evidence produced in court was being manipulated. Items our team never found would suddenly appear while other items were kept secret. We didn't have proof anything illegal was done. I am proof enough of what happened. In that case, all of us save Goodman were relieved of our duties.
Yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit longer.
Most without even so much as an explanation. Lana Sky transferred to prosecutor's office and became chief prosecutor. Lana always wanted to be a prosecutor.
Yeah, gonna get some water.
Nothing's quite as simple as it appears. Huh? Lana Sky was merely being used as a pawn. That's my take on the matter.
She was being used?
Damon Gant and Lana Sky. 2 years ago, Gant was chief detective, Lana's second in command. They were the best. They solved all kinds of cases together, didn't they? Damon Gant's magnetism, in particular, was almost unreal.
His magnetism?
I mean, his ability to track evidence. He'd produce the most incredible evidence in the cases he handled.
Incredible evidence? You mean...
Oh, yes. There were rumors about him even back then. No one dared confront him, though.
I think she's talking about forging evidence.
Back then, everyone looked up to Lana. All detectives wanted to be like her. Really? Oh, yes. Myself included. I was a fool, really. She hated everything crooked. Always watched out for the other detectives. That's why she was so concerned for Jake. Mr. Marshall. When Jake's brother was murdered, she felt as if she had lost her own brother. If it wasn't for her, I don't think Jake would have ever had recovered from his shock. That's what makes him all the more infuriating. The star. That's why I'll never be able to forgive her. Why did she have to turn so cold after that?
Lana transferred to the prosecutor's office 2 years ago, didn't she?
Yes, thanks to Chief Gant's power or full influence. Chief. That's right. Having solved the SL9 case, his position as chief was secured. There was only one thing left for him to control. And no one could stand in his way. The prosecutor's office.
What? You mean that's why Lana was transferred?
If you can control the chief prosecutor, you can control the prosecutor's office. That must have been his goal all along.
How could he control Lana?
I don't know. One thing's for sure. Ever since the case ended, she's never been the same. So logical to conclude. There must have been a reason for her change.
At last. Finally getting close to the bottom of this ugly mess. Thank you, Miss Star.
You listen to me, Ricky. It takes more than just ingredients to create a fine cuisine. I hope you turn out to be a better chef than I've been. A chef than I've been.
February 24th, Police Department. Criminal Affairs. Oh, you're back. You're still here? I had to make 150... No, excuse me. I had to make 150 copies of these files. Brewing coffee, coughing files. Turning into a regular DJ.
You're a DJ as well? If I'm not mistaken, I think he means desk jockey. Oh, that DJ. I admire your persistency. My answer's still no. I'm not letting you in the chief's office, period. It'll be on my neck on the line. The office is the last crime scene of the SL9 incident. I have to take a look in there. There's gotta be something we can do to get the detective to change his mind. Hey, that's it. That's the King of Prosecutors Award Mr. Edgeworth got the other day. Oh. Say, this design's based on an old Chinese parable, isn't it? Oh yeah, everyone knows that. There was this, dragon. Yeah, that's it, a dragon. Yeah, it's just a thing for Shield, see? That's not exactly the version we heard. No, but this one sounds more exciting. Anyway, it's kind of a gory after that. I'll spare you the details. Welcome back. What's going on? I'm showing your evidence. You know, it wouldn't hurt if you put this up somewhere, like on a shelf. There's no meaning for me anymore. That has no meaning for me. What do you mean anymore? That's who I was last year. What good is it to dwell on the past? He's asking me? That makes me kind of mad. Actually, something's been troubling me about this shield. Look, do you notice anything different? Different? Yeah, don't you remember? The other shield in the court record? In the court record? I guess I better present the other shield. Guessing they mean that one. Well. I have to change Gumshoe's mind about letting me see the ID, but I don't know who I need to talk to for that. Yeah. What was Edgy doing when he was in his office? He was writing a paper of some sort about evidence or something along that lines. What are you talking about? Move and examine. Seems everything in this case is designed to cast down on me. Hey, don't look at me. Yes, I went into the evidence room on the day of the crime. Chief Gann asked me to do something. To take evidence from a case solved 6 months ago. Back to the prosecutor's office. I have a locker in there as well. Did you notice anything amiss when you were in the evidence room? The room's always dark and I was in a hurry. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. This isn't related to the case, remember? You said so yourself. So I did. Chief Kent gave this to you that day, didn't he? He asked you to bring it here from the police department. The chief is a very competent man, but sometimes he does some things that don't make any sense. And I haven't done one of them? Huh? Oh, it's the same thing. Talk, present, move, and examine. What, is there something in the room? This? Is that always there? Oh. I guess the hint was that he threw it to the floor? I'll know what he was writing before. Come on, Mr. Wright. Let's take a look. Are you crazy? Edgeworth is sitting right there. Just distract him. I'll check it out. Hey, Edgeworth. Is that Detective Gumtree out the window there? Oh, he's falling to the ground. Hold on. First, let me see what that girl's doing crawling around my feet. He didn't even look. What? Let her... usually neat and put together edgy, making trash. If you can't read, I'll read it for you. It says letter of resignation. Resignation? Edgeworth, you don't mean... I'm tired, Mr. Wright. I feel as if something inside me has died. But Mr. Edgeworth, none of it is your fault. I know the path I've walked. You don't need to tell me. The path I've walked hasn't been a just one. I can't forgive myself for what I've done. And no one else should forgive me either. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O. Mr. Wright, please, you have to do something. Letter of resignation. I wonder if I could use it for anything. Time for blackmail. Due to recent events, I hereby announce my resignation as public prosecutor. You really wrote a resignation letter. Wow. Even when resigning, Mr. Edgeworth is cool and concise. So it wasn't his fault. Someone has to be held responsible. That's how it is in the grown-up world. Yeah, but that responsibility means nothing if he just quits. Well, not everyone sees it that way. Truly take responsibility. To take responsibility, you should have to work the rest of your life for no pay. Sometimes the growing-up world can be tough. I'm guessing Gumshoe would want to see that. But yeah, you could see the crumpled ball when Edgeworth and Emma would swap. I didn't even see it, like, at all. Gotta have a keen eye, partner. I mean, they could have also put it in view so that it wasn't behind them, to be fair. Alright, Gumshoe. What's this crumpled up piece of paper? No way! Mr. Edgeworth can't be that serious! Is he ever not serious? I can't believe they pushed him this far! Mr. Edgeworth really feels responsible. At first I thought he was as cold as ice, but now I know different. I know the sweet touch of his lips. He trusted us detectives to provide him with sound evidence, but we betrayed him. Detective? That's it. I've made up my mind. I'm marrying Edgeworth. But, here, take my ID card. We can't do that. If someone found out, they won't let you off the hook with another lost item report. Look at me. It's no secret. I'm already out of the loop. We've been dating for 6 years. After all, I'm friends with Mr. Edgeworth. Depending on how this case turns out, I may already be as good as terminated. What? So at least let me do this. For Mr. Edgeworth's sake. Alright, detective, thank you. I mean, you're telling me Gumshoe wouldn't be the perfect match for Edgeworth? He's literally risking his life for him. And what is Phoenix doing? I rest my case. A police department ID card allows access to areas for the PD department. Look, it's Gumshoe. Look, it's him. Detective Gumshoe isn't very photogenic, is he? Whatever you do, don't say that to his face. Look, his eyes are half shut. Shoe gum? Yeah, and his mouth is half open. Hey, each of his shirt buttons is off a notch. And he's got a narrow end and it's tight in front. I think this goes beyond being a photogenic issue. February 24th, Police Department, Chief's Office. We'll have to wait till next time. I'm gonna go ahead and stop here. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. So, because I wasn't able to finish it today, on Thursday, I'm gonna start earlier. I'm gonna start at around 3 o'clock. Thursday? Yes. Is 3 o'clock too early? I'll start at 5 o'clock. Yeah, I'll start at 5 o'clock and then I'll end at 10. That way I stream for like 5 hours. And if I need to, I'll go for as long as I need to beat this. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. I'll see you guys on Thursday. Take care. Remember, the stream time for Thursday, I'll be starting at 5. My time. That's Central. CST. So, yeah. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.